It's Thursday, and you know what that means. I'm glad that intro pops every guest I have on the show, by the way.
What is that?
But welcome to another
Yeah.
edition of Day After Dynamite. I'm Will Washington. Welcome to Day After Dynamite. And I am joined this week by my guest. He is a guy you hear me talk with all the time. Well, I have talked to this person on a podcast and in my group chat every day and every week for the last year and some change. He's Media Man.
Every single day.
Yeah, he is Righteous Reg.
It's your boy in the building, Media Man, your favorite rapper, your favorite writer, your favorite podcaster here on Dad. Your daddy is here on Dad. Righteous Reg, your boy. Holler at me. Hello. After a really fun show, my Twitter's been blowing up because I said it was a fun show. I don't know. It's crazy here.
Yeah. Well, you know what though? I got a message right before the show that I wanted to read.
Yes.
And it was a kind message, and it was from somebody in AEW. And I was surprised to hear this, and so I wanted to read this on the show. But it said, "Dad is on at 3, right?" And I said, "Yep." And said, "Cool, I'll be there. Truth be told, Dad is the only post-Dynamite show I watch and trust for feedback. You always keep yourself informed on what's happening on our show, so your feedback is valuable to me." It said your feedback to me is more valuable than even the retired wrestlers who talk about it. So that's cool. Can't wait to watch. And you know who it was, Reg. But
Wow. WOW.
but I was very pleased to hear that, and thank you. I appreciate the kind words. And yeah, again, I don't even know what to say to that, but other than thank you and thank you for checking it out. There's going to be a lot to talk about on this show. As far as what we thought about the show, I think we are probably going to fall on different sides of it, Reg.
I think so, yeah.
But yeah, I am ready to talk about all of it. First off, I want to let everybody know that that's right, you can send us your super chats and your humper chats. You're both help support what we do here on the show. They help support Grapsody. They help support just Fightful in general. Send us your super chats throughout the show, and we're going to read those during the show. And we want to know what you're thinking, what your feedback is as well. And again, you help support what we do. If you go to humperchats.com, that's one of the best ways to support what we do. That's our Streamlabs solution. Again, it's humperchats.com. And I'll make sure. I know somebody got on me the last 2 weeks on Grapsody specifically for missing a couple of humper chats. I'm going to try and be a whole lot better about missing the humper chats. And the sad part was the person reached out to me to tell me that I had missed it. Let me tell you, I saw that one during Grapsody, but for whatever reason, like my brain read it and then didn't come back to it when it came time to talk about it. So I never brought it up on the show. So I pulled that one aside, and I want to make sure that we get to that one. Speaking of Grapsody, we're on a special day tomorrow.
We are.
And that was part of the reason I wanted Reg here, is to really hammer into people's brains that Grapsody will not be on Saturday, because pretty much you can guarantee if there's one of them Saturday afternoon pay-per-views happening, we're probably not going on a Saturday. So we will actually be on Friday this week. So join us. Me, Phil, and Reg will be here on Friday to talk about everything from the week. And there's a lot to talk about this week.
There's a bunch. Yeah.
and we're going to be previewing Crown Jewel. Mm-hmm. So definitely check that out. I mean, credit where it's due to Crown Jewel. The tone around the Saudi shows has completely changed.
You're right.
I mean,
except for a couple of days this week, it's been
a couple of days, nice. But for the
most part, it's been way different than the first show they ever did. Was like, you would have thought that some wild shit was going down, the way that people were talking, the way that people were reacting to everything surrounding it. And this time it's been way different.
Yeah, people were looking at them as like one kind of throwaway shows. They looked at them kind of like those old like the old international WWE pay-per-views used to be,
Right.
like Global Warning and
Insurrection.
Insurrection and stuff. Yeah, exactly. The Capital Carnage. It's like, these don't really matter. They're not really like canon. We're not even going to really promote them on TV. They'll just kind of happen, and then we move on. But then, no, these like Greatest Royal Rumble was probably that, because no one's ever referenced Braun Strowman as a Rumble winner again. But after that, they have pretty much just become mainline shows, and nobody's really angry about them anymore. They have just kind of fully been accepted into the lexicon of,
you're gonna get some big giant wild match, so people are kind of like, they're actually interested in the shows now, because they're like, what could happen? Like, we've seen bald-head Shawn Michaels before, so we can see anything.
Yeah, so that, because that's happening Saturday, we'll be doing Grapsody on Friday this week. It's still at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, and there's going to be a lot more content. Usually, like, remember, we were for a little bit doing Grapsody on Sundays, but now I have a Sunday podcast, so I can't do that anymore. So either way,
busy man over here.
I know. I'm doing 5 regular podcasts at the moment, and then I guess a little bit of a way ahead of time announcement. I'll be on the Survivor Series post show. So that week I did a count. I'll be doing 6 podcasts that week. Wow. And I podcast a bunch. You know who also does a lot of podcast content and also just does a lot for Fightful in general? He's just somebody we are incredibly thankful to have around. Mr. Jeremy Lambert.
Will Washington!
Yeah. Hey, you don't get to be on the side. Yeah, you got to be stuck in the middle. There we go.
Come on.
Will, you want to start a podcast? I don't feel like you do enough, honestly.
Yeah, seriously. What's going on, dude? Like, when are you going to get to 10 already? Come on.
Yeah.
I know. Well, like,
you got to do twice a day.
Like, shout out to Carrie, who noted on Twitter when I posted the picture of myself at 25 and at 35, and she was like, the guy, and she's been listening to me a long time. So shout out Carrie, who I think probably goes back to 2009, I want to say, but she pointed out in my 25 picture, she was like, hey, that's a guy who would talk about wrestling and Power Rangers and Mariah Carey and The Simpsons for 4 hours on a podcast. And now here's a guy who talks about wrestling and Power Rangers and Mariah Carey and The Simpsons for 4 hours on a podcast. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure, and I did the math and I started adding them up, and I'm like, that Survivor Series week, I'll have done 11 hours of podcasting that week. So 4 hours, that's if I'm lucky, 4 hours. But anyway, Jeremy, how are you?
I'm well. I want to say that I don't like the accusations that Grapsody has to move to Friday because of this Saudi show. I think that's complete nonsense. I feel Grapsody is far more important than this Saudi show. You guys should be on Peacock.
Speak on it.
The Saudi show should be, I don't know, can just bin it, honestly. It can be in the trash can for all I care. But you guys should be running and then, tell the Saudis to kick rocks. That's how
I'm saying. They should like move their show back at least, right, Jeremy? Like,
yeah.
Come on. What are you guys doing?
I don't get it. No one wants to see Logan Paul.
Even though
he's going to win the title.
Go over. Yeah, I'm trying to see him go over. So
he's going to win the title.
Wait. No one wants to see Logan Paul. I could have sworn I sat on a Fightful round table with you, Jeremy, where you were all over this. Where you were like, no, this is the best thing. More freak show wrestling.
He gets married and the things just change. I see.
I forget a lot of the bits and the jokes that I do. Well, I can't keep this stuff straight. Okay. I think I booked Logan Paul to win the title by beating Austin Theory this Saturday, and then Logan and Cody at WrestleMania is going to be the headlining match. That's where I'm going.
Wow. Okay.
Rock and Roman, Logan and Cody for the title. That's where I'm at with things.
Out the window with that one, huh, Jeremy? I see what's going on.
I can't keep track of all the stuff that I do.
You got to get a little notes app or like a little journal or something to connect them all.
Yeah.
No one pays attention to me. I say whatever I want. People are just like, Jeremy, he's hilarious.
Right.
Hey, Jennifer wants to mention, she says, can we just talk about how amazing Reg's hair has been looking lately?
Oh, thanks, Jennifer. Yeah, I appreciate
about
that.
how amazing Reg is. Reg is absolute best.
Has there been a change in the hair routine? Have you just tightened? What's going
on? Nothing really. I don't know. I have to get dressed for it because we have a video podcast. That's it. And I just do my hair.
You get dressed up for this stuff?
I mean, I got to put on a shirt and, my hair.
Fair.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Sometimes I'm just wish like we were just all audio because I'd just be naked in my bed. All of these podcasts.
I mean, the thing is, I would say
We don't know
how
what
can
pants you
tell,
got
but
on. Do you have pants on, Reg?
I do have pants on.
Yeah,
I
I'm
do
only gonna-
have pants on.
I'm only gonna throw Anthony Scatz under the bus, but there was one time where we were doing a podcast and it was just audio, and I think we were talking about Christian or something, and he did the like chest slap of Christian, but it sounded like bare skin, and we're like, whoa, stop. This guys, do you have a shirt on doing this show? Because there's no way you do.
Mm-mm.
And yeah, I mean, whatever. Who actually cares?
I'm with Reg. If this stuff was audio only, I'd be in underwear maximum.
I'm
I mean,
saying.
the thing is,
That
hey,
point.
you have no idea what's from the waist down.
I know. That's what I'm wondering. Do you have pants on, Will?
No,
Reg is
I have
concerned.
pants on all the time. Like I just like I you never know when you might have to quickly jump up and then like our podcast is over immediately. So
I am in gray sweatpants mode.
Same?
So,
Yeah.
yeah. So,
Will.
it's that time of year. I see.
It
Yeah,
is.
Hell yeah.
yeah. No, I like literally right before this, I want to say finished the workout, but also like didn't really finish because I looked at the clock and was like, oh, the show's not gonna happen if I don't like stop. So
Oh, jeez.
What
do you have
is
pants
going on here?
Sweatpants.
You have pants on?
Oh
it's
my
gray
God!
sweatpants,
Come on,
baby.
you guys! Gray
sweatpants
sweatpants crew, y'all are being weird.
But listen. I came here to fucking party. Right here, Reg.
What is going on here, you guys?
Listen, they
There's
announced
sweatpants, there's beans, there's all kinds of shit.
Well,
going
what
on.
happened was as soon as they announced AEW Lexington, I said, well, I got to get ready. I got to get ready. I'm not going to pay for those Rubberina snacks. There's no way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my paper plate. I'm going to get my aluminum foil.
Yeah.
And I'm going to like pour them on the plate. I'm going to take a plastic fork and I'll just carry that in. I'll run into no problems at all.
Well, you are SRS. They'll let you in with the beans, I think.
So I was in Toronto and I went with one of my friends and she was like, oh, like, because I wore a fanny pack through the airport and all that stuff. She's like, oh, you didn't bring that. I said, well, you're not allowed to. And she goes, well, we don't shoot each other here, so it's not a concern.
Oh.
She was like, so you don't have to worry about taking clear bags, fanny packs, all that stuff. And I was like, my God. I was like, if Reg moves to Canada, think of all the stuff he could farm and just smuggle in.
It's looking better and better every day, honestly, SRS over there in Canada. So
I mean, you know what though? I was literally just looking at Toronto flights this morning because as the folks may or may not be aware, but the one and only Miss Mariah Carey is going on her.
This is Will's time to shine.
It is my time to shine. But look,
Yeah.
she doesn't do concerts that often, but she announced at first it was 2 concert dates, and I'm looking for the Merry Christmas album. Ah, there it is.
Listen.
Merry Christmas to you.
I wasn't supposed to tell you this, but Jimmy got his wife second row seats.
Wow. Look at Will's face.
Oh, the look on Will Washington's face. Oh my gosh.
He's about to cry on this show.
Oh no.
And he would have got her front row, but they had already sold them.
Oh my goodness.
I had the full. I'm sorry, Will. I had to do it.
No, he
I had to do it.
Here's the thing. He specifically
Oh
told me
my
to not
God.
tell you.
Yes, right.
And Sean,
Live
within
on
like
air.
the first second of Mariah being brought up, is like,
whoa.
let me just kill Will Washington.
Immediately.
It was a full day after I was told. I held out for at least 24
First off,
hours.
Wow, you really held on to that scoop, Sean.
Listen,
look at
if-
you. Look at you.
Aggregators could hold off
Mhm.
for 24 hours, I'd be swimming in 20,000 subscriptions right now. I did him a favor.
Let me tell you. I was even looking at tickets this morning, and I was like, "Oh, I could probably like pull off a $100 seat or some shit." You know, it's a nosebleed, but at least I'll get to see Mariah. Because let me tell you, she's got. Originally, it was 2 scheduled dates. She's going to be in Toronto and then New York City. She's doing Madison Square Garden. Been in New York a million times. Been in Madison Square Garden plenty of times. But I was like, should I make the trip to Toronto. And then she added 2 more dates. So now she's got a second date in New York, a second date in Toronto. I have to go to this.
You do. Toronto's
just
a
a
great
matter-
city too.
It's just a matter of where. Do I do I do this in New
Expensive.
York?
Will expense all of this. I sent Jimmy an invoice for my wedding because Sean was there. I filmed stuff for it.
I did.
Just expense
I did.
this stuff.
I did pay for his what would we call
Yeah,
it?
the dinner.
The
pre-wedding
dinner before.
actually. Yeah.
And I was
Yeah,
like,
Sean's
I'm
just
expensing this.
Forget it.
But I will say, there, like, consider as I look at how Scotiabank is set up, there really aren't bad seats there for this. I'll say that. Having been to
Canada's the
Scotiabank.
move. Well, Canada is the move.
Yeah,
I mean,
Canada in December. What could go wrong?
I'm not sure which I'm gonna do, but no matter what, you will see me in my. I think there's a Mariah Carey Christmas hoodie. I think I have a. I have all my Mariah Carey Christmas stuff, and you will see me decked out for. And this is
boy.
the second Mariah Carey album. I know that. Look, I should have Merry Christmas around here somewhere, but Merry Christmas to You was just as good. I actually think this has the better version of All I Want for Christmas Is You. This has the, as it was called, the extra festive version, not to be confused with the super festive version that has Justin Bieber on it, but the extra festive version that was just had the cool little Disney intro. Anyway, that's my Mariah stuff for the day.
I want to know what you think of that meme going around that I saw on a jukebox that was like, if you play All I Want for Christmas Is You before
saw that.
December 1st, it's skipped and it can only be played one time a day after that. What are your thoughts?
Just give me a phone call because it's my ringtone currently, and you'll hear it no matter what.
It's crazy out here.
It is.
What is
Don't
your
call me during
ringtone
the show, though.
when it's not November? Is it a different
NBA
Mariah
on
song?
NBC, Round Ball Rock.
Okay, that's a
not
good
bad.
one.
Yeah, that's my go-to at all times. Look, you grew up in Jordan era. That's
Yeah.
the song you associate with basketball.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Speaking
that
of
is
which, go
true.
Nuggets. Nuggets play tonight. But anyway,
They play the Thunder. They play the best player in the league, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, MVP.
okay.
Yeah.
I'm just letting you know.
Mm,
Just letting you know.
yeah,
How about those Raptors?
Nah. Scotty Barnes is looking nice. Do you like
He
that?
is looking nice. He is looking nice.
Reg,
and they
what's
gave-
up with the Warriors?
It's early, Jeremy. I know
Yeah.
what's coming. You know what's going to happen at the end of the season. We're just
You're still the
playing-
champs, right?
letting
that-
everybody
that's-
get their little shit out. Everybody's like, we're looking great out here. Wait till the end of the season. It's over.
I mean,
right
The
I'm with
Lakers
you,
are 2-0 since Will Smith showed up and slapped everybody
now.
in the locker room.
Mhm.
It's true. And the one of those two was against the Nuggets, and I don't know what to do with that. I knew they had to win eventually. I didn't want to be that one, but
I'm going to
They
ask
are.
Sean here since we're on air. What are you doing on Sunday, Sean?
Maybe going to the Bengals game. I don't know.
Are you? Because I got invited. They're playing the Panthers, unfortunately. And
Yeah.
I'm thinking about going myself.
I'm thinking about going. Yeah,
All right.
Look
Let's,
at
let's
that.
talk.
We're making
Let's
deals,
talk.
Yeah.
baby.
Yeah.
we should.
That's-
I think we should. Hey, also, I just want to say while we're talking about basketball, looks like the Jazz and the Cavs both won. Like,
Yeah.
they both won that trade. Now, I don't know how I'll feel like 6 years from now when the Cavs don't have a draft pick until the next decade.
Eh,
But
who cares?
hey, if
They're
they
looking good.
re-sign, if they happen to re-sign Donovan Mitchell, seems like it's a winner. Kevin Love is playing like he's 25 again. Look at him with arthritis in his knees, I bet. I'd love to see it.
So the wheels fall off, baby.
Love to
So
see it. I'm getting the hell out of here.
Oh,
All
my, but
right.
before
I'm
I
not
go,
sharing my
Sean-
beans.
Appreciate y'all.
Oh, that's- before I leave, I do have one thing to say. Everyone go support our friend Cher Delaware. She had surgery today. Go
She did.
say nice things to her. She has GoFundMe. She has other things that you can subscribe to. However you can support her and help her out. Go help Cher Delaware. All right.
I have
Bye,
nice
Will.
things being sent to her house.
Yes,
So
she does. She lives in the friggin' middle of nowhere, though. So we tried to send her something. They're like, yeah, it'll be there next week. Like, what?
I know. I
Oh.
just learned that today. I was like, I'm gonna have something sent to her, and then I'm like, okay, I forgot that
Yeah. Insane.
it ain't like normal shipping where I get
No.
stuff same day.
Mhm.
Uh,
I like that.
yeah.
Bye, Will. Bye, Reg. Y'all have a good show.
Hey, peace, Jeremy.
Bye bye. All right, so let's talk about some stuff because AEW made some news this week, and there's a lot being discussed. What story do I want to start with here? I mean, I'm wondering which direction I want to start.
Mm-hmm.
But here's what we'll go with. Start with Colt Cabana.
Yes.
Boom, boom. He was the surprise opponent for Chris Jericho. Some people, adjacent to us, may have guessed that. And
some people adjacent to us convinced me, and I was from that point on, I thought that's who it was going to be, and that's who it was. So look at that.
Yeah, that's who it ended up being. And a lot of people are seeing this being a message. I'll say this: as far as the word out of the locker room, people are really happy.
Yeah.
That's it. I heard in one direction that people are really happy, and I've heard in another direction people are really happy. And it just seems like it's coming at me as a Colt is somebody highly respected in the locker room, and nobody necessarily wanted to see him ostracized for any reason, whether or not they believed that it was because of Punk or it was a symptom of Punk or whatever. Nobody wanted to see that for him when he came in kind of with such fanfare in the locker room when he came in 2020 at Revolution. Everybody was like, oh my God, we're so glad to get to work with Colt. And Colt was a big help behind the scenes. A lot of people just liked having him around.
Another veteran that's on the roster that can double as a wrestler and as someone that's been to all the shows. So, you can go towards him. Yeah, people were pretty upset, I think, in the beginning when all this started happening because of this, everything we're saying here. They love Colt Cabana, and they were like, they didn't want him to get caught up in this thing that he doesn't really have any control over. It's like, it's not his fault that he's in this position to be sent away somewhere. So yeah, it's been pretty great reception. That Trent tweet, I think people were kind of navigating to, of him being like, for the boys, because like that's this whole thing just seemed like a morale boost for across the board. So I think that's a great thing.
Yeah, I mean, look, here's the thing: the people I talk to have all kind of said we're just happy to see him back and in kind of a drama-free way.
Right.
Like there wasn't any like confrontation over it or anything like that. It was just that he's got a good attitude, and people were like, we were just happy to be around him again, and we're happy to have him around. And so yeah, it was a boost. Now, of course, the question becomes, we saw WrestleVotes put it out there that WWE saw this and is very aware of this and raised some eyebrows. Because what could this mean? Does this mean that they have officially drawn a line in the sand? Does this mean that they pretty much have decided in favor of the Elite and the Elite and Colt Cabana versus CM Punk? Time will tell. I don't know that necessarily to be the case.
It doesn't feel like it to me, honestly.
I mean, I think, especially with it being Chris Jericho and thinking about everything Fightful Select reported with Chris Jericho's involvement in Brawl Out, you can at least say that from Jericho's perspective, there was probably a message thing.
There's some connection.
And I don't know. I still, if you heard what I had to say about this on Grapsody, I'm still not willing to say everything's just done.
That's how I feel too.
Because at the end of the day, wherever CM Punk goes, whether that's deciding to go back to AEW, like AEW takes him back and he resumes this comeback run, or he returns to WWE. Either one is going to have to be some kind of water under the bridge, right? Like, it's not like Punk left WWE on great terms, and it's not like
nobody's accepting him back with open arms.
Like, Vince is gone, yes, but also he had problems with Hunter too. Like, it's not as if either any place CM Punk goes to wrestle that's not just like New Japan, I guess, is gonna be a pill for somebody to swallow.
Yes.
And I'm not sure who that's going to be.
Right.
So I'm not willing to make anything declarative right now.
Right.
Because I don't know.
Yeah, I think I'm just landing on that. I don't think this moment last night is it's not like that's it. CM Punk's gone forever. They did it because like next week Colt Cabana could be gone again. Like I think this could just be one isolated moment that does make it helps Chris Jericho with the locker room's morale if he has Colt Cabana come out, has this big moment, but that doesn't mean anything for anything to me. Like that's this one isolated moment for me because it's pro wrestling. So
we're still a ways off from CM Punk being a factor in anything,
exactly,
just because he's still hurt.
Mm-hmm.
So whether he comes back, whatever they have to do when it comes time for him to return,
right?
I don't know what that's going to end up being, but for now,
like we're still a lot of like 6 months off of that, right? Like so the whole wrestling landscape can change in that time,
Yeah, it's a severe injury. Like there are contracts up in the next 6 months that
exactly
that could also be a big factor. And yeah, we don't know. We don't know really anything. Well, I take that back. We know something.
Yeah, we know something.
Well, and just in regard to the show, we know some things.
Right.
And first off, I want to read Van Twin Blade. He sent a super chat that says, I have a joke. What is Shibata's favorite bread? Shibata.
Pretty good, Van Twin Blade. I'm not mad at it. Is that after Dynamite, so it works.
I'm a little mad at that, actually.
The joke? You don't like it? You wanted to get that off? I understand.
Yeah. Let's see. We've got a Humper chat. This one is from Dana. It says, for Dad, that's me. It says, without a full field, who do you see winning the Full Gear Eliminator Tournament? When it was announced, I immediately went to an Ethan Page Ricky Starks final, but with no attempt being made to heat up Starks like they have Page, I'm not sure. Well, they're supposed to announce more participants this week. I still think Ricky Starks could win it, depending on who's in it.
Definitely.
It all depends on, I think if we're pretty set on the idea that MJF is winning the title, who do you see being a big enough... So let me look at the calendar really quick. So Full Gear is November 19th.
Mm-hmm.
So then that means there'll be 1, 2, 3 episodes of Dynamite between Full Gear and Winter is Coming, which is December 14th. And so it becomes a case of who do you see having, I guess, the best potential 3-week program with CM Punk. Like obviously, CM Punk with MJF. Like it's something that's obviously going to end very quickly. But who do you see being able to have that program with him? I would like to see it be Starks. I don't know. I feel like that's really the only way to make sense of him just like not being around after beating Hobbs, and now Hobbs is around. So
getting heated up, baby. We're gonna talk about that later. I think it's better in this position of exactly what you were explaining for it to be Ethan Page, because I think he's quicker to come back from what the eventual loss to Max, and he'll be able to build up enough heat throughout these next couple of weeks to be a viable contender. I don't think Ricky should come back and then immediately being in a losing program. That just doesn't really work out for me. It'll be great to see him in the title picture, I think, but I think he can get there a different way.
Yeah, I could see that. Rerun says, for Dad, this show started on such an odd segment that it was hard to recover after the Cole pin drop Carter and Jeff Jarrett reveals. This was the most Mad Libs episode of Dynamite ever. Rick Ross, Lamar, Shibata on Rampage. You crazy, TK. It was clear that they're trying to do stuff to heat up that episode of Rampage because it is in Atlantic City. It is live. Like they added Tyson to it. I think looking at it from the standpoint of the audience that Rampage has, why would you do this in front of that audience, and not from the standpoint of Rampage has that audience, we've got to build it up. And I think they're more so looking at it from that perspective. And let's see. And then we got always a great one from Jennifer. Jennifer, you're always the best. And this one simply says, happy dad, gents. Thank you. Just sending some Thursday love. Last night was wild. Shibata, Hobbs looking amazing. Nyla being hilarious. Hater and Tony booked. Moriarty got to show out a bit. Yeah, that was.
I like
huge.
the show, man. I see a lot of people saying they don't like the show. Like I've seen more people say they don't like the show than they do like the show, and that just goes to show that don't listen to the critics. If you like it, that's all that matters. But I don't really. They cater to me, so I understand why. Like Rick Ross is on the show. I'm going to say it's a great show. It's me, you guys. Like no one should be surprised about this. Like it's all downhill from there. And then to end the show, how you ended it, you think I'm going to be like that was a bad show? Rick Ross is there, and my big homie's holding the belt up as the show ends. You guys, it's catered to me. Lee Moriarty got a match. Swerve's there. Like come on, it's for me.
I can see why Reg is really happy with it. And there are things that on the show that made me happy. Caden, by the way, says, "Hey, gents, I submitted my first AEW media app. I hope you get it."
Yes, let's go.
I know
Caden.
I just got approved. I don't remember how
I got to
many
put
days
some
ago.
things in. They're announcing a whole bunch of shit. 6 months ago, I was like, when is AEW going to ever come here? Now they're just going to live here in California very soon. And
I know.
so
Matter of fact, I
excited about it.
wanted to ask Sean about that Lexington announcement, which is really odd to me because they made an announcement on this show. They made a few announcements, but they announced that they're doing their first Portland show. That's huge.
Big. They're going to be so hyped over there in Portland for this shit.
Yeah. So that's Seattle and Portland same week. And then they also announced the Fresno show the week after the LA show. So just this big West Coast run. And then Lexington, Kentucky, which is like so far east
over there. Yeah.
It's like, yeah, we're going to do all these West Coast shows and then not even stop anywhere along the way. We're just hitting Kentucky. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was a really interesting one. And these are all the bigger arenas. Yep. I know in Lexington, that's what, a 20-something thousand seater. Mm-hmm. And so they're hitting all the major arenas.
The Fresno one is where they have if there's a big concert that comes through, that's where it is. Like I've seen some shows there. I've seen Raw there. Like they're really going for it. It's not the small places. Like they're going for where the arenas where the arenas are. And I'm just excited because it's new markets, man. I love you guys in Texas, but every 2-3 weeks in Texas is crazy. Like we like stuff over here too. Like come and enjoy the West Coast. So.
I mean, I will say they hit like right off the bat. They're really trying to, because as a matter of fact,
well, this segment the first segment of the show is going to lead us into some more live events talk. So
yeah, so I'm trying to think about this for a sec. So they announced that's 5 shows that are announced for 2023, and the only one of them that's at an arena they've already hit is Kia Forum in LA. But otherwise, it's all new venues just to start. So it's like kicking off 2023. They're trying to kick it off with all right, AEW is hitting new markets. And hell, even to end 2022, they're hitting Denver, right? Mm-hmm. And like, granted, while I was annoyed that they said making our Denver debut, and I'm like, nope, you guys were here 3 years ago. But it had been 3 years, and all that was pre-pandemic. And so I can absolutely see how somebody like didn't even realize
it could be a new show. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, oh yeah, we haven't been to Denver. It's like, what you have. Mm-hmm. And that was the second to last show before the pandemic. And
so we try to forget about that. That's why. So we're just like, nope, it's new. This is the first time ever. Don't remember the first time.
And I was there at that show, and I remember a lot of people disappointed that Kenny didn't wrestle because Kenny had broken his hand at Revolution punching the mat. And so I mean, remember Randy Orton was doing his like shoulder thing. I mean, he was doing his like pounding the ground, and then all of a sudden dislocated his shoulder. Shit happens on your own.
Sami Zayn, remember he did his entrance and just threw his arm and he dislocated his shit. Yeah. Like, it's hard out here.
Yeah, it's wrestling, so it happens. But yeah, I remember people were really disappointed that Kenny didn't wrestle on that show. But otherwise, that was because I remember the main event was a lot of fun. It was scheduled to be Moxley, and it's just funny because this match could take place today and you wouldn't even know the difference. It was world champion Jon Moxley teaming with Darby Allin to take on Chris Jericho and Sammy Guevara. Okay. Literally a match that if they had it tomorrow on Dynamite, you'd be like, okay, that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then they jumped Moxley during his entrance. The Inner Circle did. So it ended up being a handicap match. Darby versus the Inner Circle. Mm-hmm. And Darby, that was when he did the hot tag to himself. which was a cool little moment. Anybody that remembers that.
So the question off of that is, do you think Kenny Omega's gonna be at this one?
Yes, of course. And that's where we're going here. Because the other bits of news that came out of the show, of course, was that we had 2 vignettes that were very newsworthy. The first one was the first time we've seen this footage again. Granted,
Right.
I was at All Out. I haven't seen this footage actually ever because I was at the show and then didn't watch it on TV. So
Right.
seeing the footage, it took me a second to remember where this is from. But we see John Silver and Kenny Omega in the ring, and I'm like,
What?
what? What is this from? And it took like maybe half a second, and I'm like, oh, this is All Out where I was. So I've never seen this as video footage.
Right.
And then Kenny, and it has Hangman hitting the buckshot lariat, accidentally hitting John Silver, and Kenny pinning John Silver. Matt Jackson has, or it might have been Nick, has Hangman locked up to stop him from breaking up the pin. 1, 2, 3. The winners of this bout and first ever trios champions. And then it pauses, and then the footage is deleted. They were in Avid, by the way. They delete the footage and then drag in.
Interesting choice.
Yeah. The drag in the foot. I mean, that's what most TV, live TV content is done on. But we then see the footage replaced with Death Triangle winning the trios titles from Best Friends. And then they cut to a graphic of a live event that had the Elite with the belts in the middle. And then they're deleted from it and replaced with Death Triangle. And then we cut to the AEW graphic again, the logo. The E dissolves first, and then the rest of it dissolves. I think that should have been a clearer sign because a lot of people were wondering what did the stuff
clear.
What last week's stuff was supposed to indicate. But if you didn't get it last week, this week should have made it fairly clear that not only are the Elite on their way back, but now they have a target in mind, and that target is Death Triangle.
Because they never lost those championships, them trios championships. Never were pinned for them.
Yep, never were pinned. And so it looks like we're going to see Death Triangle versus the Elite. When are we going to see it? Probably Full Gear. It's a match we've seen before. We saw
But with the chip on the Elite shoulder, this is going to be like, like just them sitting and stewing at home for these months and coming back and like, all right, we're about to have this match with these guys. This shit's going to go insane.
Yeah, and because I was just thinking about how, like, do you remember at All Out, the thought on everybody's mind was, damn, Kenny is like in the best shape he's like been in years. Damn, look at Kenny. Yeah. And then he like hasn't got to do anything.
He was gone.
So
stewing.
It's gonna be nice to see what they do and how they get to remind people of who they are. But there was another trio that we haven't seen in about a month.
Yeah.
And as a trio, we saw them last compete at All Out. And they had a video package as well. And that was House of Black. House of Black has returned or is returning on the way back. And you know what's funny is part of the reason people were calling for trios titles in the first place was because it was like, look at all these trios they got. They got Best Friends. They got the Elite. They got House of Black. We've got Death Triangle. Dark Order. There were all these trios. And then it was suddenly like we looked up. Dark Order lost a bunch of members. And then the Elite got suspended. And then House of Black, there were all these rumors circulating that they asked for their releases. And it was like, you guys don't really have a trios division anymore.
They had to run Best Friends and the Death Triangle a couple times because they were like, oh yeah, we don't have any trios anymore.
Yeah, there's like not a trios division anymore. Like you broke up SCU, and even still, Scorpio's injured, so you couldn't even like run that back if you want to. There's like no trios division. What is happening here?
Yeah,
and it is kind of nice that in one episode, I suddenly feel pretty good about trios titles again.
Yep.
That I can look up and go, okay, the Elite as trios champions actually have somebody you could almost immediately put them in a rivalry with. Like the moment they're back and you could run back. I mean, you could run the Elite versus House of Black in many combinations. Are you kidding me?
Yep.
Like, I would love to see Kenny one-on-one with hell, give me a few
Buddy
options.
has been
I was gonna say,
dreaming
Buddy,
about this.
You could do Kenny and Buddy. You could do Kenny and
Brody is fire too.
Yeah, Kenny and Brody, Kenny and Malachi, but then the Bucks versus Buddy and Malachi, or look, there's so many combinations you could go with before you do the trios match. Like all of a sudden, it really spices things up to the point of where I look back at something Tony said back at right before All Out, and he said that after All Out, this is going to be one of the best rosters we've ever had, and
now it's just -1.
Well, yeah, and so it was right because it was like, okay, I'm like at All Out, we were looking at this crazy roster that's got all of these guys. This is gonna be nuts. And then like you got MJF back, all of a sudden the Elite are back. Like this is gonna be a crazy roster. And then 1 hour later, it was like, actually, there's no Elite, there's no CM Punk. Also, Malachi wants his release. Also, Buddy wants his release. Like, oh shit, that roster that we were suddenly looking at as being as good as it is suddenly like not. And so it is kind of nice to think about the idea that all of that's going to come back together, minus CM Punk.
Yep.
And I know there are some people who would rather trade out having CM Punk for basically being rid of the Elite, and that's including Hangman. I would say that is just, to me,
you're tripping.
And this isn't even taking a side because I like CM Punk. As a matter of fact, I thought CM Punk was having the best, or I won't say the best run of his career, but I will say that I was thoroughly entertained by what CM Punk had done this last year. Love CM Punk. But let's just look at this from the standpoint of running a team. If you had a sports team and you were told you could lose 4 of your star players, but keep 1 star player, or lose 1 star player and keep 4, like it's kind of, especially in the sense of you're running a company where you have to make matchups. So having more people is good, especially having more stars. No, it doesn't make any sense to me to get rid of 4 people to keep 1 when I can't even have that 1 right now.
Exactly.
Because that 1 is also injured. So like, I think I'm looking forward to what things look like after Full Gear. Assuming everybody's healthy. Because then also there's Cole to talk about, right? Like, when is he coming back? I don't know.
Yep. Adam Cole's still there. Now we have Hangman questions on where, how long he'll be out, what's going on with that. So it's still.
Which everybody's saying he's in good spirits and that he's still looking.
Okay.
So
that's good.
That, they said he was pretty good like that night, but of course you got to follow concussion protocols and things like that. But everybody who's talking about it says that it's not looking like Hangman has a necessarily debilitating injury in that regard.
Oh yeah, so then when Cole does come back, we could do your Kingdom idea, and then there's another trios right there. It's lit. The trios division is pretty lit. Yeah,
there are options all of a sudden, right?
Yeah.
Orion Ben says, so Reg, Jeff Jarret, huh? May we always get bags.
I have no idea. I'm I'm as confused as all you are too at this point.
Well, and talking about the show itself. So the show opened up. Darby Allin, who got a big pop, by the way.
He got a really big pop.
He got a big pop from that Baltimore crowd. And I have to say, one of the things I like about the Chesapeake Employees Insurance Arena in Baltimore.
That's a hell of a name.
I know. One of the things I like about that arena is how bright it is. Ace Shock says, so everyone in a trios and ignore the tag division. That's the thing. Nobody's ignoring the tag division.
Yep.
They're still FTR. They're not in a trio. They're still the Acclaimed. They're not in a trio. Like there's
FTR. That's all you had to say. It's this division. You could put anybody against FTR and it's going to be hot.
But yeah, so one of the things I like about this arena is that the backdrop of it is white. And so what's interesting about that is that it gives it a brighter, almost unique view compared to every other arena. Like I know this arena when I see it. Although last time they were in this arena, the hard camera was stage left, and this time it's now stage right, like most arenas are. So it like was the arena we saw before, but almost like flipped from
Right.
the way we'd seen it. But yeah, so we saw Darby Allin go 1-on-1 in a rematch with Jay Lethal.
I
Jay
like the
Lethal's-
match. I just want to say that. I want to start out by saying that. I think the ending
thought it was
got
better
a
than
little
their
bit
last
muddy,
match.
but the match was very fun. The Darby Allin doing the dive spot on the Satnam and Satnam just swatting him away was an amazing visual. I love
That's a great visual. I think that's the best visual. Like, I had an idea for that with Braun Strowman years ago, where like I wanted to see Roman Reigns like go for his spear and like basically just bounce off of Braun, like back in the "I'm not finished with you" days.
Right.
Like I wanted to see like. That was a spot I wanted to see. I loved that spot of anybody being
Super
like,
shredder.
a huge person being able, but yeah, the super shredder spot. Somebody just being able to completely stiffen their body. Somebody goes for their patented spot and it doesn't even touch them. Doesn't even phase them. They don't move, nothing. And I didn't even imagine that's how that was going to go when Darby went. Because Darby be hitting them dives. Darby, when he hits those dives.
Full force.
Yes, the full force, like it looks like a bullet's coming at you, and for Satnam to basically just take it and he just bounces.
The bro didn't even he didn't do anything. He was just like off me. That was crazy. I love that shit, man. That was amazing.
Like honestly, to me, if you can have Darby, I mean, if you look, I don't know what Satnam's actually going to bring to the table, but little spots like that would be a fun way to continue to use him.
Definitely.
Yeah, he didn't bounce. But yeah, the match itself, I thought this was better than the last one. And I think part of what was better than the last one was how much more the crowd was into it. Yeah. I feel like they didn't really care the time before. And so, of course, the thing people were anticipating was, who was this mystery person that was going to come in? And let me tell you, when it was Cole Carter initially as fake Sting,
I started writing a tweet. That's all I want to say.
I was initially like, not only did you build this up for a week, but I'm pretty sure like, didn't he compete on Dark with the Trustbusters? Not Trustbusters, with the Factory. Like with the Factory, just like a day ago. And so I was so unimpressed.
It looked so wild for a minute there, Will. I was like I legit sat there and I was about to be like, this is, and then things changed. But I've never seen a crowd more uninterested in a big moment than what happened when Cole Carter was revealed as underneath that Sting mask. Insane.
Yeah, and so I was initially again like, why did we do that? What does Cole Carter have to do with anything? What does Cole Carter even know about Darby to where he says he knows Darby's weakness? What? And then Sting's music hits, and there's no Sting, but Darby turns around, and I shout at my screen, "What the fuck is Jeff Jarret?"
Listen, because at this point, Will, I wasn't surprised. That's how much Jeff Jarret does this. Like, it was just like, oh, yeah, of course. Here he is again in another promotion doing it once again. He's been doing it for 30 years. You can't, look, I mean, it's a skill.
Reg, it was only 2 months ago that Jeff Jarret was the special guest referee against, and again, it was another moment where people were like, whoa, what the fuck, Jeff Jarret? What does he have to, why Jeff Jarret? What does he have to do with the Usos versus the Street Profits? Why are we pulling Jeff Jarret in here? And so, and then again, he also, the day before that, or day after that, after that, he wrestled Ric Flair.
In his last match. I can't even, how do you even get into these places? And then WWE like gave him like an executive position for a while. Like he was back. He was in the building and then he wasn't. And now.
Right. And he was let go pretty much as soon as Triple H took over. But I will say the thing I didn't put together was I forgot he did team with Jay Lethal in that Ric Flair final match. Didn't even put these two together at all. So Jeff Jarret.
What the fuck is Jeff Jarret doing here?
So it was like he made an appearance in AEW, or so that's what we thought. And then Tony Khan tweeted afterwards Nah, Jeff Jarrett is in
He's
an
here.
executive position with
Mhm.
AEW. He is
Mhm.
director of business strategy. I mean, okay. So my wife asked me yesterday because she saw me react, and she's like, "What is the significance of this?" And I said, "Babe, let me tell you the significance of this. Why Jeff Jarrett being in AEW is just wildly Jeff
My world.
Jarrett. And my world play."
When my world played, I was
No,
done for.
first off, no, it was before my world played. When he said, "And you can choke on that," I'm like, "Don't you say slap nuts. Don't you say slap nuts." And he goes, "You could choke on that. Slap nuts."
Listen,
And then my world played.
my
and
world.
I
I was
thought,
done.
oh my God, everything has all come together. Like,
Bro, I went right back to 2003 TNA in the weekly.
I mean, like,
Impact
choke on this
episode.
slap nuts was WCW. He pulled it all together.
He did.
But
He did.
so Jeff Jarrett, I was talking about how my introduction to Jeff Jarrett was 90s World Wrestling Federation, right?
Yes.
With my baby tonight, JEFFJARRETT.
Mhm.
That was my introduction to Jeff Jarrett.
Yeah. Same.
And then Granby says, "Wee woo, slap nuts."
How does it like? What is that song? He's taking that song everywhere.
to
No
Japan,
matter where
he's
he
taking
goes,
it
he's
everywhere.
like, "Here's my CD. Put my song on right now."
I am picturing Jeff Jarrett walking in with the CD, just being like, "Hey, this
It's
they're
my
like,
world.
they're like, you
On
can
a
just
burned
send,
CD.
they're like, you just send us WAV files." Like, nah, I got it in my car. Like, we're good.
No, I'm not gonna let
So-
technology ruin my world, baby.
So Jeff Jarrett leaves the World Wrestling Federation,
Mhm.
96, I believe.
Yeah.
Goes and works for WCW. Works an angle with Four Horsemen, Mongo. Yep. And then returns to the World Wrestling Federation in 97. And like, you want to talk about guys who got the bag. So first off, Jeff Jarrett returned in 97. They had him do a couple of shoot promos. They did the sit downs with him where he was talking about that he's back in the World Wrestling Federation and he's returned for Shawn Michaels and Steve Austin and Bret Hart. And it was like they taped those before Survivor Series 97, but didn't run them until after. So I was like, well, you kind of missed out on Bret Hart.
Yeah,
But he comes in and kind of flops almost like right off the bat.
Yeah, nobody
you
liked
know,
any of that shit.
yeah, nobody liked any of that shit. He ends up with Southern Justice and but I will say 99 or the end of 98, 99 when he lost the hair match to X-Pac and he had to shave his head. I will say he did kind of a 180 as far as like notoriety was concerned. To me, I know WWE never likes to
I mean, you got to give
talk up.
Deborah a little bit of credit too.
Yes, Deborah got him over. Are you kidding me? The puppies was it. So Deborah got him very over. To the point of where though, he was really over in 99. He was so hated by WWE fans because he'd come out, the fans would cheer for Deborah. "We want puppies," which is such a crazy chant when you think about like literally you just have fans just chanting, "We want to see titties."
We want
and that's
titties.
like that is an interesting
That
thing.
was a chant all the time in 98, 99. We used to hear that every week.
The chant went to like 05. Like there'd just be two women having like a banger match at that point, and the crowd would chanting, "We want puppies.
We want titties." I haven't really thought about that for a long time. That is wild. Oh my God. We want titties. Like women are out there fighting their lives out, and the crowd's just like, "We want titties." Like, what, dude? Nasty.
I know.
Wrestling is the fucking worst place ever. Jesus. Sick revelation right there.
Yeah. And so Jeff Jarrett, though, he ends up in what was probably his most storied feud in 99.
Yeah.
Which was his feud with China. He is the Intercontinental Champion. He beat D'Lo Brown after Mark Henry turned heel, and and all of that. So he's the Intercontinental Champion. He ends up in a feud with China. China is extremely over at this point.
Super
to the point
hot.
of where, China was extremely hot. However, what was most interesting about that was China was, of course, still tied to Triple H. But it was like, but she's getting so over as a babyface. And it was so weird to have her like feuding with Jeff Jarrett earlier in the show. And then, but like in the main events, accompanying Hunter. And it's like, but we were just cheering her. And now we have to boo her because she's helping Hunter cheat. And so what was interesting was that Jeff Jarrett, of course, had his Good Housekeeping match at No Mercy 1999 against China, where this was the first time we ever heard that Jeff Jarrett managed to talk somebody out of the bag. And that was where, I guess, and correct me if I'm wrong on this story, but if I remember correctly, Jeff Jarrett was the Intercontinental Champion. But his contract had expired.
Yes.
As Intercontinental Champion. He was scheduled to face China at No Mercy, but wasn't under contract and had no obligation to come in there, and like had no obligation to come in to lose to China.
They wanted him to come over, but over China with no contract, and he has their belt.
Yeah, and
Leverage.
he has the belt. Yes. And Jeff Jarrett, in his, I would say, his biggest achievement bag moment, as the story is told, that he went into Vince's office an hour later, came out with a smile, and apparently talked Vince out of $300,000 to do this one match to drop the title to China.
Finesse. Finesse her, bro. $300K to lose a match.
To lose to China. And that was it. And then he would never be seen again. You don't have to worry about me again. I'll give you your title, but you have to pay me. And he did. And he went to WCW. And
I just thought about on the last episode of Nitro, Vince comes on the show and
my
fires Jeff Jarrett. He
double
goes
G, double O, double N, double E. Gone.
$300K, I would have did the same thing, honestly. Yeah.
So yeah, then Jarrett works WCW, and again talks WCW into making him the guy.
Yeah.
And he becomes the main eventer of WCW. They gave him the NWO. He gets NWO silver and black. Jeff Jarrett becomes the guy.
Ooh, the ship was sailed by then, boy, I tell you.
And then Jarrett doing his thing. Like I said, he was the top guy of WCW. Got multiple world championship reigns out of it. And then WCW is purchased. Vince McMahon is like, I ain't fucking with Jeff Jarrett. Fuck that guy. Get him out of here. Jeff is gone. So Jeff manages to, he gets family together, gets all of the boys together, and is like, we're going to start up a new branch of the NWA that's basically going to center around me.
Yep.
I'm going to be the champion of this promotion, and it's going to make me the biggest star, and it's going to be NWA TNA. But that isn't the biggest finesse he pulled off there. Oh, no. Because you see, somebody had to finance this brand of pro wrestling. And that man managed to talk Dixie Carter, who had nothing to do with pro wrestling prior to this.
Nothing.
Zero to do with pro wrestling. And talked her
just a nice lady.
Talked her into getting her father in Panda Energy to basically endlessly fund money into this promotion.
Yep.
Again, Jeff Jarrett, ultimate finesser.
Ultimate.
Got all of this money into starting a promotion that was really a promotion to celebrate him as a main eventer. Now, it eventually grew beyond that. They ended up hiring a whole bunch of people, including Kurt Angle. And somehow he finessed Kurt Angle's wife away from him. Because Karen Angle is more famously now Karen Jarrett. And so,
What a guy, man.
but, and then again, he leaves TNA. He starts up GFW, which, again,
Won't stop.
I'm not sure wasn't a
starting and following you. They'll follow you, and then they'll unfollow you, and then they'll follow you again, and they'll
Yeah.
unfollow you. If you know the history of that promotion, you know that too, because I don't know what's going on. Things are weird.
And somehow GFW, I'm not convinced it wasn't anything more than like a Ponzi scheme.
Right.
But he somehow, with GFW, uses that to convince Impact to merge.
Yes.
Merge GFW, which doesn't like they had done those tapings, those few tapings of GFW shows, and then somehow talked Impact into a merger of GFW and Impact. The show for a little bit, for like 3 weeks, was called GFW Impact.
Mm-hmm.
And this happened. This freaking happened.
Vanessa.
And then there's a nasty breakup. He ends up pulling a whole bunch of stuff back. Impact claims that they destroyed all of the original GFW footage. It's very bad.
Mm-hmm.
But Jeff Jarrett ends up going back to WWE. The guys he got $300,000 for one match out of.
Mm-hmm.
And he gets a position with them, working live events. Pandemic happens. He's out of a job for a little bit. Shows resume. He is, what is it? It's a VP position of live events.
Yep.
Massive.
Mm-hmm.
And look, whether or not you can attribute it to him, who knows? But live events went up under Jeff Jarrett.
Yep. Yeah.
Like, it's a hard thing to deny.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I just named pretty much every major promotion in pro wrestling since Jeff Jarrett's existed, and he's had a major role there.
Yep.
The only one I didn't name yet was AEW, where he is now director of business strategy.
Yep.
And who knows? I mean, if he had anything to do with the uptick in the upturn in live events last year, then good for him. Obviously, something's, that Tony Khan tweeted that, he's going to be working with Mookie and with and Raphael and whatnot, and they're going to be and that's the thing. That's a lot of experience there. Raphael was the live event coordinator for WWE for years, and I mean, he's been with the AEW. He's been their live event coordinator since day one. But that's the reason that AEW kind of had off the bat the experience to be able to get in the door and get these arenas and do all of that, because they had Raphael. And to have Jeff Jarrett now, who had experience building the live event scene for WWE last year, and then on top of that, you also have Mookie, who's just amazing with business strategy. Of course, Mookie founded WrestleNomics and everything along those lines. So it's a good team. But Jeff Jarrett, oh my God.
What's super interesting about all this, William, is after the All Out, and we've been hearing it maybe for even a couple months before that, a lot of people have been saying that Tony Khan needs help up there. He can't do it all himself. He can't book. He can't do all this thing. He goes and gets someone who has seen, as you have described, every single situation you can encounter in professional wrestling at all angles. And he got him to come in and help, and people don't like it. So what are you supposed to do in this position?
So here's the thing. As far as people don't like it,
I think they think that they're going to come in and be the AEW world champion, and that's not.
I mean, and you know what, though? That's the kind of stuff that would scare me, right? Like,
yeah,
I don't think he's going to do that.
Right.
But also, like, Jeff Jarrett.
We've seen it.
We've seen him. Like, remember when, because I became a Jeff Jarrett hater around late 05. And it was because Jeff Jarrett was, I've watched Impact since the beginning. I think people should know. I watched, when TNA Impact first showed up on Fox Sports Net, I watched it every week. They had the little, the Fox box. They actually had a timer on screen. When matches had a time limit, you could see it. That was actually kind of a cool thing.
I liked it.
So you had Jeff Jarrett, who was world champion the majority of that time. There were multiple times he should have lost and didn't.
I know where this is leading to.
So summer of 05, there was a gap between FSN. For those who weren't watching at the time, there was a gap. So Impact was on Fox Sports Net, and it moved to Spike. But it moved to Spike in October of 2005. They left FSN, I want to say, at the beginning of the summer. So there were a few months in there where nobody was, or where Impact wasn't on TV. And so they started doing this online streaming version of Impact. I will tell you, that was the best stretch Impact has had to this day. They have not topped that as a run as far as television was concerned, as far as what they were creating. Who knew that it was really just because Jeff Jarret wasn't on TV, so he felt like, hey, I gotta do nothing.
Have fun.
But they were putting on great stuff every week. I was really looking forward to the show. I was into that show. The very moment they got back on TV and they got on Spike, Jeff Jarret becomes champion again immediately. And they hire Vince Russo. And I was like, what are you guys doing?
Mm-hmm.
Why did you think that the show you were doing online wasn't working? That show was great.
Right.
And you decided, now we're on TV. Let's put Jeff Jarret back on. And let's also, like, they took away the thing I was enjoying most in Impact and TNA. And they instead gave me more Jeff Jarret.
Mm-hmm.
And more Vince Russo style booking.
Right.
I don't understand. I still to this day do not understand what the motivation behind all of that was. It was just so. But that was Jeff Jarret, the performer.
Yeah.
But again, kind of like Hunter, right? Like Hunter, the performer, when given the opportunity to be on top, was always on top, and it was obnoxious. Yeah. But people love Hunter, the booker. People love Hunter, the businessman. Mm-hmm. And I wonder, like, if Jeff Jarrett's going to remain on TV, I don't know. I
don't want to see him on TV. I have no interest in this. If they're building to a Sting and Jeff Jarrett match, zero interest in that. But if he's going to come and help expand business, I'm all for it backstage. But seeing him with the guitar every week I'm not.
He left Darby in a pool of blood too.
He did. Yeah. I can't see that every week though, is where I'm at.
Can't see that every week.
Bag. He got it.
Yeah, he did. Jeff Jarret, again, the ultimate bag getter. So then we got an announcement. So it was announced last week that there was going to be a sit down with Renee and Saraya and Britt. And then we didn't get that because one of them wasn't in the building. And so and I get it. It's because all of a sudden, and you've heard from people that these weeks where they're doing both Dynamite and Rampage are tough.
I have heard from people
that they are tough. And so what's happening now is that it's like almost like a brand split in a way, except not fully, but it's kind of like so we'll have some people work Dynamite and we'll have some people work Rampage, and we're not necessarily going to call everybody to both.
Right. Everybody's not going to just show up to Dynamite just to be there anymore. It's like we're going to bring everybody that's specifically needed for the things.
Yes.
With the live Rampage.
Britt is working Rampage this week, so there's some shifting. But Saraya did say in this segment that when she's asked by Renee, "Are you cleared?" she said, "I've been cleared by a lot of doctors, but there's one more doctor that I want to talk to."
Yeah.
What does that mean?
What does that mean?
Yes. What does that mean? And
she's going to tell us next week, though.
No, but we know what that means. The one doctor she wants to talk to is Britt Baker, and she's going to tell her she's cleared, and we're going to announce that they're having the match at Full Gear, Saraya versus Britt Baker. We're actually getting
super exciting
3 women's matches at Full Gear. It's going to be Britt Baker and Saraya. We're getting Jade Cargill and Nyla Rose, and we did get announced with a video package. Toni Storm defending the interim women's title against Jamie Hayter.
Very exciting. Everybody's very excited about that match. All 3 of those matches are going to be heat, but the Toni and Jamie is going to go insane. pay-per-view. They've been set up. Jamie's on this trajectory. The crowd's gonna be
way into Jamie.
Yeah, it's gonna be. I was gonna say it's gonna be tough for Tony Storm out there because the crowd is behind.
I think Jamie's gonna win.
right now.
Honestly, I think she
Really?
is. Uh-huh.
But I just, oh man, it's so frustrating. See, this is where I get frustrated with everyone getting behind someone, and immediately they have to be the world champion just because we like them so much. Tony Storm's run.
I know
the
Tony's
run
been
that
doing
she's
great.
been having is amazing. Like like I've said before, everybody's talking about like Saraya coming in or Renee or whatever. Bringing in Tony Storm for this women's division has done more than anybody because she's been consistently every week doing what needs to be done to push this division forward. And that's just being out in the ring, getting time, having competitive, amazing matches. And she has carried that flag like no one else does. The only thing that frustrates me about Jamie winning is Thunder because it's like it's this interim championship bullshit that it's like.
Yeah, the part that's gonna bug me is that if Jamie wins, Thunder or Tony Storm's title reign never counted.
Exactly.
And that would be annoying. But
That's crazy.
I will say that Jamie Hayter would be like the reason I say capitalize on her right now is that she is the most organically homegrown talent AEW's had. And now I know people are going to be like, well, she's wrestled other places. But I mean, as far as TV, the introduction to United States television is concerned, or even just the international television scene in general.
Right.
Jamie Hayter became known to fans via AEW.
Right.
She was introduced, and the funny thing is, introduced to no reaction. Remember when she showed up at when she got her All Elite graphic when she first showed up? Okay, I mean she had those couple of matches on Dynamite in 2019. Matter of fact, I'm recalling Jamie Hayter, if I remember correctly. Remember that one time Jamie had that match, and then she's about to be interviewed by Jen Decker backstage, and before she can talk, Brandy Rhodes comes in and pie faces Jamie Hayter to the ground and then points at Jen Decker and then walks off. And that was the start of the Nightmare Collective. Do you remember that? That's such a rare thing. But that happened in 2019. And then, of course, pandemic happened. We didn't see Jamie Hayter much anymore. And then once touring resumed, she came in on the first episode of Rampage and she helped Britt Baker. And all of a sudden now Jamie Hayter is
now
all
she's
elite.
The one.
Yeah, but she was all elite, but she got like no reaction there. But it's been such an organic rise for her.
And also the Britt Baker thing hasn't been like you're going to give her the belt before you tie the Britt Baker loose end sounds kind of weird to me.
You know
because
what?
That end hasn't been tied. What's it going to work? I guess Britt can turn on her eventually.
Well, so this is what I would do. This is what I would do. So, a lot of people have been comparing this to the Triple H Randy Orton story from 2004, where Orton won the title even while Hunter was the top guy, and then then Evolution turned on him. I think that's the right direction to go if you have the patience that WWE did not have at that time.
They did not.
Like I remember Meltzer reporting, WWE is ready to have the next Rock and Austin.
Yes.
That was the way the story came out. Meltzer reported that they're ready for it and they think it's going to be Orton and John Cena. And it was like they took their time with Cena, but with Orton they were like, no, it's got to happen like tomorrow. And so they just like put the belt on Orton, turned him babyface. None of this worked.
Right.
Do that with some patience is how I would what I would do here. Okay. I would go with like, I thought there would have been potential to the Orton and Hunter stuff if, like, you spent weeks of Hunter, like, having to watch Orton.
Yeah, let Orton be the champion, not do it the next day.
The next day. That was why that sucked so bad. Like, if you had Hunter for weeks, basically, like, kind of side-eyeing Orton, like, yeah, I got your back, man. You're my guy. But, like, you know, slowly but surely setting Orton up for failure before ultimately turning on him. In this case, same deal.
Right. Okay, I can see it.
Where you would have Britt acting like she's got Jamie's back this whole time. Like, yeah, I support you as champion, but in reality, she's like seething and wanting to eventually put the knife in her back, and eventually she does when it's time.
Gotcha.
I think there's a way to do that. I just wouldn't necessarily do it as fast as Orton's.
Yeah, like don't give Jamie the belt, and then at Winter is Coming, they're doing the Britt and Jamie thing. Like they need to build it for a little bit longer. You think is what you're saying?
Yeah, I would like to see, like, you know, Britt has always claimed she's had Jamie's back, but now that
Right.
Jamie's the champ, does she have the same support for her? I think you can do it.
Yeah.
I think there'd be ways, but I think that's the fun way I would do it. John Moxley faced Lee Moriarty.
Yes, he did. This was fun. I'm loving this. Okay, I had a question for you. I was thinking about this earlier, Will Washington, because I've been really into these world title eliminator matches, and I didn't think I would be. But John Moxley has been on an amazing run, and I think it's been established that these world title eliminator matches are cool. Has anyone won a world title eliminator match and gotten a world title match yet?
Riho beat Britt Baker, and then went on to get a shot against Britt Baker where she lost at Battle of the Belts.
Right. That's a great thing. I'm just leading to that. The great thing that John Moxley has been doing is when someone does win one of these, it's going to be a big deal. And I like that they've been doing these because John Moxley has been a present champion. All I ever care about is if you're the world champion, you're the world champion. I want it to be like the territory days. Like Ric Flair would have 5 matches a week of being the world champion. John Moxley is the world champion every single time AEW Dynamite is on. If it's Rampage, if it's on Dynamite, he's getting a match. He's in a title eliminator match. And when he's in these matches, he's putting these guys over. It's not all about John Moxley. No match is ever a John Moxley squash match. He gives these guys the opportunities to shine. He puts them over. At the end of the match, you're like, John Moxley could have possibly lost that, but he's a fighting champion and you know he can't lose. I just like everything that's happening right now with this run that he's on. He's super fired.
It's everything you asked for, right? Because your big beef with Hangman's run was that we weren't getting enough of it. You want to see the champ go as often as possible. And you're like, they're the champion. They should be here.
And I'm happy he's getting it in now because the next champion we know, like, when is this guy ever going to defend the damn belt? He's never going to defend it.
Yeah, I love that Moxley is like a every damn week kind of guy.
Yeah.
And it's a good thing.
It's amazing. Moxley, I think we said it before, but Moxley is my favorite AEW world champion because I think like Kenny and Hangman had amazing runs, but Moxley is something different. I don't know what it is. I've said it before. I've seen him live at GCW. Something about the energy surrounding this guy is different, man. It's just different. I don't know what the hell it is. I don't know what happened, but he really tapped into something special. Like not a lot of pro wrestlers like exude the energy that he does in the way that he does it. And fans are bloodthirsty for Moxley, man. It's amazing. I love it.
And they're pointing out that a couple of other eliminators, of course, Yamashita beat Thunder Rosa at SummerSlam Princess this year, and then also Eddie and Penta beat the Young Bucks in that non-title match, and then they went on to face the Young Bucks.
Oh, that's right.
They faced them at Road Rager,
right?
And I know that because I was there. And then another one. It wasn't necessarily an official eliminator, but they remember. Scorpio Sky pinned Chris Jericho,
right?
And then he
he got a title match.
He got the title match.
Gotcha.
So like it's been an established precedent for a long time. And they didn't start using the term title eliminator until Joey Janela versus Kenny Omega was the first time they had used the term title eliminator, and that's been that was them since.
Very cool.
But yeah, so. Continuing on, but yeah, Lee Moriarty. I want to talk about Lee, and that Lee got to show out here. Lee got to do what he does best, and that is, I feel like Lee has taken advantage of every single TV opportunity he's ever gotten.
Big facts.
And that's been a really cool thing to watch transpire, and I'm really proud of that. And I love that for Lee Moriarty. He's gotten to face CM Punk on Dynamite He got to face Bryan Danielson on Dynamite. I think the Bryan Danielson match was better to me, but that's just because Bryan Danielson is the GOAT. Yeah, but it was still very good.
I got in trouble for tweeting something like that before, so
yes. Either way, I think he's the GOAT.
Yes, Lee Moriarty's doing amazing though. Like you said, every opportunity he's getting, and since no one's surprised here, ever since he's been with Stokely, it's been upped. He's been more confident, and it showed in the ring last night against the world champion. Immediately when he got in, he got face to face with Jon Moxley. If you watch Lee Moriarty from 2 years ago compared to now, two completely different wrestlers. He's doing a great job, and I hope this it feels like this is leading to he might be into some shit with Daniel Garcia very soon, which also gets me very excited. So yeah, I liked everything that they did here.
Mm-hmm. Same. And then we had the Billy Gunn birthday bash. Okay. I didn't like this.
I didn't like it.
Yeah, I didn't like it. I thought it was just too much. I thought that it went on too long.
Exactly.
And that I thought that there wasn't enough. How do I put this? There wasn't enough emphasis on Billy Gunn's hands, like what happened to him. Like ultimately, he's like, "Oh, I'm still out here. I'm still having fun."
Yeah, it's still the same thing.
And I just thought it took too long to get to the point, which was the Firm beating the shit out of.
Yeah, the punchline didn't feel like. I think that's what it was. It felt like it didn't really lead to anything. Like it led to that beatdown, but it didn't feel like we weren't looking for that beatdown. Because the whole time I'm thinking, like, when's Swerve gonna come? Like, Swerve didn't have anything to even do with the segment, so it felt kind of just there. It's too long. In the middle of the show doing like, I get it, like giving it up to Billy Gunn, like he should be given, we should be giving it up to Billy Gunn. It just felt too long to me.
Yeah, it felt too long, and I just thought it didn't quite have the punch that the National Scissoring Day segment did. I love National Scissoring Day. I thought that was a great segment. I thought everybody was on there. I thought this was a little too much and almost like too on the nose. This one wasn't.
Yes, this one felt kind of forced instead of just like having a great time out there.
Right, and then FTR, of course, made the save after the Firm beat down, and that was that. We then got a tag match. We talked a little bit about the fact, not a tag match. We had a one-on-one match. There were no tag matches on the show. What am I talking about? But we had Chris Jericho versus Colt Cabana. He defended the title. I feel like people were really quick to write this match off for one botch.
Yep.
And I hate that because I thought otherwise the rest of it was fine.
Yeah, no, I hate when because that's like if it's supposed to be a quote unquote real fight, it's gonna get a little muddy in spots. Like every single spot doesn't have to be perfect, and then when every single spot is perfect, people are like, "This is too rehearsed, this is too choreographed." So you never can win, honestly.
Yeah. Well, so of course it was them slipping off the top rope with Colt attempting the Chicago skyline, and then they went to commercial break, and I felt like they were fine from pretty much the time everything came back.
Right.
Fans were into Colt.
Yeah.
For as much as I saw people kind of treating his appearance as a
fuck you.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, so I saw a lot of people kind of saying, well, this wasn't spectacular and this was hyped up. And it's like, well, I mean, Brian Alvarez kind of hyped it up because he got word of who it was beforehand. But his point was right. He said it was going to get people talking.
It did. It worked. That is something big. Like that's confirmed something big. Because there's been a lot of hype around this. Right.
We spent time talking about it on the show. I absolutely think so. But no, I thought the match was fine. But it wasn't.
This was definitely the worst of Chris Jericho's ROH title defenses.
Yeah, at worst I'll say it was fine.
Yeah.
I think people were so kind of stuck on that one botch of them falling off the top rope that I think they kind of brought all of the
and I love Colt Cabana, but he's not like he's not like the Mr. 5-star frog 5-star match. He's not about that. He's more about comedy, and so for him to. This is fine, I think. For
You know what Billy said to me though? My son mentioned, and I was very surprised by this. So Chris Jericho wins the match with the Codebreaker, and my son is like, Chris Jericho never wins with that move. That's not a finisher. And I was like, wow, in your lifetime, it has never been a finisher.
Right.
And I was like, son, that's Chris Jericho's WWE finisher, actually. That's a move he did use to win matches. And he's like, he hits that move all the time in AEW, and it never wins. And I was like, yeah, you're kind of right. Like, if you're a little kid like my son, who's 8 years old, so really the last, 4 years of wrestling, from 2018 on, has been his most... that's what he remembers the most about pro wrestling right now. And so for him, Chris Jericho winning with the Codebreakers a lifetime ago. That's just some shit he does in the middle of a match, and it's always 1-2 kick out.
Right. It's a false finish.
Yeah, if you've been watching wrestling just for the last 4 years, why would Chris Jericho ever win with the Codebreaker?
But that's cool, though. I think more matches should be like that. I like Billy's reaction. Like, I want to see Sami Zayn win with the Blue Thunder Driver. I want to see them win with their signature moves sometimes, just to establish that maybe this false finish is going to be the end of the match. It just helps.
Yeah.
So this is going to help the Codebreaker in the future because people saw him beat somebody with it.
Yeah, I could see that too. I was just surprised that my son saw it that way. We then had a 3-way for the All-Atlantic Championship. This was the best match of the night.
This was fun.
Yeah, this was very fun. Orange Cassidy, the All-Atlantic Champion, defended against Luchasaurus and Rey Fenix.
No, Phoenix is there. I'm all in.
I like this. This was fun.
I did. I liked it. I love the Jungle Jack run in. I love that he came in. He did that crossbody block that looked very scary. It looked like the table almost hit him in the face. It was very scary at points there. I like Orange Cassidy's run right now. Honestly, I think him being the champion, I think it's like, since that Will Ospreay match, he's been pretty on fire. Like, most of his matches have been pretty heat. It's crazy.
I think every criticism of Orange Cassidy at this stage is completely invalid.
How could you even criticize this guy at this point? He's all hitters.
I think it's completely invalid now. I think, what can you say about Orange Cassidy now? Where, I know people were saying this shtick has gotten stale. He's not really running with the shtick anymore. He is going into all of his matches with intensity now. I've seen.
Did he do it at all last night?
He did the kicks to Rey Fenix to start, and then and Rey playing into him. Rey was like, "Oh yeah, look, he's kicking me." But yeah, so that was pretty much it. Otherwise, Orange Cassidy's been starting his matches with fire now.
Right.
As far as the criticism of, oh well, he's too small. Except look how ripped Orange Cassidy's gotten. I mean, he's always been ripped, but that guy's fucking shredded now.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, his All-Atlantic Championship win did some huge YouTube numbers. He's proving he's a draw.
Yeah.
His matches deliver, and even the people who are like, but he's still a comedy guy. In what way?
Is he? Because he brings a backpack. He has some comedy elements, but he's not a comedy wrestler at all.
No. When people are like, well, he's the equivalent of Santino Marella. No, he's not.
No, he's not. Not even close.
Not even close. I hear that all the time, though. I said, every criticism I hear of OC online is I feel it has been invalidated at this point. And now I think it's even invalidated by the fact that you hear from the Jim Cornettes of the world who are like, can you believe that this respected wrestler has to work with Orange Cassidy? And now you're hearing respected wrestlers around the world asking to work with Orange Cassidy, who are absolutely saying
one of the most respected wrestlers would kill to have a match with these respected wrestlers. One of the most respected wrestlers in the world said, I want to have a match with Orange Cassidy.
He said 2 people, Bryan Danielson, who I just said is the greatest of all time.
Yeah, no, I still haven't. I'm still in my feelings about all this. It's crazy.
Orange fucking Cassidy. What? Yeah.
What?
So Orange Cassidy, of course, he retained the title. But I actually did enjoy this match quite a bit.
The match was awesome.
Yeah, but the aftermath of the match was something I didn't see coming at all. I thought Jeff Jarret was the thing that Brian Alvarez was talking about when he said something big was going to happen on the show. but
Nope.
Shibata's music hits.
What?
And like that was a thing from Forbidden Door I forgot about. That was something that after Forbidden Door I was like, maybe we'll do Shibata and Orange Cassidy next year. Maybe Orange Cassidy goes to New Japan. Maybe something along those lines happens. Did not even consider that.
I'm still confused, honestly. I'm like, I think we are all kind of waiting for Suzuki because they were building the internet folklore now is this match with Orange Cassidy, Minoru Suzuki that was supposed to happen, never happened. It's been in the air. They've been telling Tony to book this match. So I was watching this match expecting Minoru Suzuki to come out at the end.
That's what I thought
I'll
too.
go hype. It was going to be great. And then Shibata comes.
Yeah, I thought this was going to be a Kaze Ninore night. Like,
Yeah,
this is what I
and
thought,
then
yeah.
when so it's all happening, he gets in the ring, he has a stare, and I'm still sitting confused. I'm like, is he going to sign the contract for Suzuki? Like, I don't know what's going on. And then Orange hands him the contract, and he signs it himself. And I'm just like, what? How? What? What do you? And it's
Yep.
going to happen on Friday.
What? Yeah.
I'm still very confused about this whole thing. I'm excited. And then he said he also wants to wrestle Bryan Danielson. So, bro, I'm just.
I want to talk about the wildest segment of the night, though, which came right
Immediately
after
following
this.
it.
Immediately following, they're like, and now let's go to the back with Tony Schiavone and Rick Ross. And like, we heard Rick Ross was going to be there. As a matter of fact, I'll even report that I had heard back in the summer, and I think I told you guys, right, that Rick Ross was in discussions for making an AEW appearance. That, I will tell you why I didn't report that at the time. That sounds fucking outrageous.
That sounds the same. When you told us, I was like, what is Will talking about? What?
I know. I was like, Rick Ross. I remember I told my brother-in-law about this, and he's like, come on, man. Rick Ross.
Right.
No fucking way. Rick Ross coming in. And like, when time went on, I thought, okay, my chain was being pulled, I'm sure.
Mhm.
No goddamn way
the
that
chain
was
was
happening.
not
I think I
there.
remember telling you in our group chat that Rick Ross was like maybe they wanted him, but I can't imagine that there's like that it's actually happening.
Mhm.
Oh my God, Rick Ross.
Right to Rick Ross, Swerve, and Tony Schiavone.
He was
Toasting.
ringside too. He was having the time of his life during that Darby and Jay Lethal match.
The big cheese in with the phone camera out. I love it. Amazing, man. Having such a great time. They go to the back. He goes immediately into promo mode because he's a hip hop artist that's probably watched wrestling as a kid. So he's into he's hella funny. He does what he did last night on the internet all the time. We love his videos because of exactly what he did right here. And so I don't know why when Keith Lee came in, I'm like, are they going to fight? Like, I got vibes of like, what if we had Rick Ross versus Keith Lee though? Like,
my God, though, Rick Ross was into all of this, and he's like, we got to keep it positive. When Keith Lee comes in, and Keith Lee points out that, hey, you cheated against Billy Gunn, you cheated last week, and I feel like it's not even a feel like thing. I need to point out to people, Keith asked a question there that a lot of people have not been paying attention to, because everybody was so wrapped up in how good Rick Ross was doing. But Keith Lee asked the question. He said to Swerve, who was holding your camera? So that was a thing that Rick Ross, that was a thing that Keith Lee asked, kind of slid under the radar there. But it was because Rick Ross had owned this segment.
Right.
And,
we didn't forget. I forgot about the story. I was just like, damn, Rick Ross did such a great job.
Accusations,
false
accusations.
Amazing. I loved it. Every single part of it. Rick
Beautiful
Ross
shit.
and wrestling just fit like a glove so easily. I can't it's amazing. It's great.
I can't believe Ross was here. I can't believe this actually happened. Rick Ross is he made me embarrassed. Like I said, I was shocked because again, and shout out to True God because he pointed it out first on Twitter. that Rick Ross was in the front row. He tweeted, he was like, I think Rick Ross is here. I see him in the front row. And this is before the show had started.
Mhm.
And my brain immediately went back to what I heard in the summer about Rick Ross, like, in talks to do a thing with AEW. Because, like, the original thing I heard was that it would be at All Out. And, or around All Out.
Mhm.
And then when it didn't happen, I was like, all right, maybe Rick Ross just isn't happening.
Here he goes. Here he is. Speaking of people being in the front row, we when Jericho did his promo and he tried to call out Lamar Jackson, and Lamar Jackson was just like, "Don't put me in this."
Lamar Jackson was at ringside too. And
Lamar
fans,
Jackson was
like,
there
that took
too.
people out of the Moxley match.
Yeah,
Because they saw Lamar Jackson at ringside and were like,
they
"What
could
the
not
hell?"
control it.
Yeah.
They're like, "That's
So-
our quarterback."
And then continuing on with Dynamite, we saw Jade
Mhm.
Cargill very quickly dispose of Marina Shafir.
And that was also an amazing transition going from Rick Ross and Swerve and Keith Lee to a clip of Bow Wow and Jade on the Shade Room. I was
Yeah.
like, bro, what is going on?
I
on this
know.
show?
No,
This is
yeah, that's the
wild.
thing I want to talk about right now is, like, I've already been feeling, and guys, I'm going to big up Swerve. It's going to happen forever.
Of course.
I
Come on.
gave the guy Wrestler of the Year in 2017. And, like, you should know at this point, it's a thing I do.
He's number 2 on my list too, because I'm cloudy, baby.
Yeah. and in 2017, half the people went, you gave it to or you gave it to Shane Strickland. Who the hell even is that? And I'm like, just trust me. You saw what he did in 2017. He was the guy. Match with Matt Riddle for the MLW Championship. Phenomenal stuff. But anyway, I've already been feeling like he is the guy in terms of hold on a second. Sorry, my wife is wondering where the car key is. It's in my pocket.
Okay. Thought you was getting a scoop.
Here, it's right here at the bottom of the stairs. Okay. I'll be there in a sec. Anyway, my thing with Swerve is that he is... There's a lot of guys who have transitioned from WWE to AEW in the last, pretty much since the start of AEW. I would say FTR probably belongs in this conversation, but there's been a select few who I would say raised their profile in transitioning to AEW. At best, you could say they probably have an equal profile. Some did lose, but, like, it's really hard when WWE is the largest promotion in the world to say that you raised your profile going elsewhere. I absolutely believe Swerve Strickland has raised his profile. When you think about him throwing out the first pitch at the Marlins game, you think about him being on Sirius XM with DJ Who Kid, you think about
The Grammys.
Do you think about him being with Rick Ross, all of this stuff, and he's still going in there, and I think still also as a performer doing the best work of his career. I think he has raised his profile as a performer.
Facts. Number 1, about to be world champion, setting himself up for greatness. I mean, we've been talking about it for a long time on this podcast. A very infamous clip of me saying he's really going to get his shit off when he gets out of there. He got out of there and really started getting his shit off. No one's really surprised. But honestly, it's even more than I really even expected. I mean, we've seen Kevin Gates and DJ Who Kid and all these people that I never even expected to be seeing on a pro wrestling program, that are excited to be in pro wrestling, that are excited to be alongside Swerve, that are excited for everything that he's doing. I never thought I'd see Rick Ross on a TV wrestling show having a great time, and Swerve is a part of the reason why that's happening. So even beyond what I thought he was just going to do as a great wrestler, he's brought so much more to the table in AEW that it's just amazing to see. So we're going to keep up to it. If you hate it, it's going to get even worse from this point, honestly.
Yes. And then Jade Cargill, she had a match with Marina Shafir. It was a short affair, but it was really about Nyla on doing live commentary in the building. And
What can we say about Nyla Rose, honestly?
Yeah, like I know that there's one particular person trying to make a big stink about this on Twitter, but like, dude, it was a 2-minute and 20-second match. The fuck are we even doing here? And finally, in the main event, we saw Samoa Joe take on Brian Cage. Guys, I forget how good Brian Cage is. I would even say that Brian Cage was better than Samoa Joe here. Brian Cage, he's actually good.
I like this match.
I did like this match as well. I probably wouldn't have put this in the main event just because of the stature of the Ring of Honor World Title match.
Right.
But Brian Cage did what he was supposed to do.
He did.
He was very good here.
He did. He showed why Brian Cage is Brian Cage. That pump handle thing he did to Joe, where he flipped him like no one does. Joe, like what they were saying on commentary, no one does Joe like that. He did all the shit. Get my shit in. That was Brian Cage right here on display, going ham, being a powerhouse, doing all the wild shit he can against an opponent that usually he does this against a lot of guys, but seeing him do it against Samoa Joe is super impressive. I like the way that they've been using Samoa Joe in whatever positions they're putting him in. They know that he's a big deal. They know that he's gonna deliver in whatever position that he's put in, and he did it here. But you know what the bread and butter of this whole segment was. At the end, Samoa Joe got the victory over Brian Cage, is immediately attacked by Khan and I always forget the other homie's name. Teo
Bishop Khan, by the way.
Bishop Khan and Teo.
Which is a great, I mean,
I love that honestly, name.
Yeah. I think they added a lot to it by adding Bishop to his name.
Right. So yeah, they came and attacked Samoa Joe. The big homie Wardlow makes the save, and then the bigger homie comes in, hits that big spine buster on Wardlow, leaves him laying on the mat, pitch that TNT championship up, raises it to the sky. The show ends. The big homie, your next TNT champion. Respect it. You thought I was crazy to talk about Swerve. Wait till Will Hobbs wins this championship. You're not going to be able to tell me shit. I'm probably going to be crying like a little girl in the front row of whatever show it is. Yes, so be prepared for it.
Are you gonna make it the full gear? Because I think that's when it is.
No, he better not. He better hold. Look, hold off until California. I don't care. Just milk it. Do whatever you need to do for 2 more months because we need it here. Tony Khan. TK.
The only other things I wanted to bring up were so I thought it was a middle of the road show. I'm not gonna go off and say like. I'm not the type of person that thinks that every AEW show that doesn't deliver is the worst show. I would say this was a middle of the road. The first hour was a little bit clunky, but then I thought that a lot of stuff in the second hour was exciting. It's about middle of the road. Like if I were to grade it, I'd probably say like a B- or even like a C+, but it's fine. I didn't dislike it. It was just, like I said, it had a bit of a clunky first hour and then picked up in the second. Ratings are in. Did 911,000, 0.29 rating, which was good for number 3. It lost to the 2 NBA games ahead of it.
Of course.
And of course, the World fucking Series was also on TV. So that's that. This was actually above the first show of November in 2021. So year
pretty
over
good
year,
considering the damn World Series is on.
Yeah.
And basketball.
Year over year, it was actually up 1%, so not by a whole lot, but that's it. That's ratings. Check out Brandon Thurston and WrestleNomics. Subscribe to WrestleNomics if you're not subscribed to them because they provide a lot of great content. But otherwise, folks, that's it for this edition of actually, no, it's not.
I'm like, we got through all the super chats. Like,
I want to make sure I get through the super chats. This one from Bugaboo Jones says, haven't watched Dynamite yet, so only dropping in for a minute. What are they doing with Eddie Kingston? He tried to light a guy on fire a few months ago, but now people are concerned about his temper.
Yeah, I agree.
I know.
I think they're setting up something cool with Eddie Kingston. I think it's just a slow burn.
Yeah. Well, it would have been a quicker burn if he had.
They hadn't let him.
Yeah, if they had let him set anybody on fire. And then we got Black Phoenix Brand says, let's do this. Oh, I didn't get the whole message. Well, too late now. It says, Late tuning in, but I wanted to get this question in. Maybe it's the Tennessee in me and the fact that I grew up watching him before his WWE days, but can anyone explain the hate for Jeff Jarrett that wrestling fans seem to have? Again, it's the TNA run. I think that he was on top in a time where he didn't feel like a top guy. And there were so many guys that people wanted to see pushed in that promotion. Like he won when Jeff Hardy should have won. He was kind of a
oh yeah, I
guy.
thought your thing earlier was leading to Monty Brown. I was like,
Monty Brown.
Monty Brown, yeah.
Monty Brown. That was another one that people wanted to see win. Raven. There was a lot of guys at that time period that people wanted to see on top in Impact, and they just didn't get to see it because Jeff Jarrett. And like, it is nice that AEW in its existence hasn't quite had anybody in that role yet of like a guy who's in a huge position of power who is holding the belt hostage. Like Kenny was the closest, but people were screaming for Kenny to be champion.
Yeah,
not
seriously.
wanting him to. Like people were saying maybe he should win at Full Gear last year. Like AEW.
Yeah, I don't think anybody has done it like Jeff Jarrett has done it. It's like so different because his like even when Kenny did it, like his hands weren't in as many pots as like Jeff Jarrett's hand. Like this like Impact and TNA existed because he got the money and like he was just so connected. And for him to not give it up for so long, it wasn't like it's just like you knew he wasn't supposed to be in the positions because there were guys better than him, and he was doing it. Felt like a lot of it was out of spite. So I think that's why people like are connected to that. So I think he'll be able to live it down though. He's done a lot of things that people are just like, it's Jeff Jarrett.
Yep. But that's it for this edition of Day After Dynamite. Tune in tomorrow at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific for a brand new edition of Grapsody, and that'll feature myself and Media Man Righteous Reg. Until next time though, folks, peace.